For example, long int sum function, int other function. These are the functions I am declaring. Now, I will define a function which calls the above functions. Int calling function, long int test1, int test2, test1 equals sum function. If test1 is greater than 0, test2 equals 0, else test2 equals other function, return test2. In this example, both sum function and other functions were declared before use. In K and R C, sum function and other function declaration could be omitted. Since K and R function declarations did not include any information about function arguments, function parameter type checks were not performed, although some compilers would issue a warning message if a local function was called with the wrong number of arguments, or if multiple calls to an external function used different numbers of arguments. Separate tools such as Unix's lint utility were developed that could check for the consistency of function used across multiple source files. In the years following the publication of K and R C, several unofficial features were added to the language, since there was no standard. Supported by compilers from AT&T and some other vendors. These included void functions, functions returning struct or union types rather than pointers, assignment for struct data types, const qualifier to make an object read-only, enumerated types. The large number of extensions and lack of standard library, together with the language popularity and the fact that not even the Unix compilers precisely implemented the K and R specification, led to the necessity of standardization. ANSI C or ISO C. During the late 1970s, C began to replace BASIC as the leading microcomputer programming language. During the 1980s, it was adopted for use with IBM PC, and its popularity began to increase significantly. In 1983, the American National Standards Institute, that is ANSI, formed a committee, X3J11, to establish a standard specification of C. In 1989, the standard was ratified as ANSI X3 159 1989. They named it as ANSI X3 159 1989 Programming Language C. This version of the language is often referred to as ANSI C or Standard C, or sometimes C89. In 1990, the ANSI C standard, with a few minor modifications, was adopted by the International Organization for Standardization, that is ISO, as ISO IEC 9899 1990. This version is sometimes called C90. Therefore, the terms C90, C89 and C90 refer to essentially the same language. One of the aims of the C standardization process was to produce a superset of K and RC, incorporating many of the unofficial features subsequently introduced. However, the Standards Committee also included several new features, such as function prototypes borrowed from C++, void pointers, support for international character sets and locales, and a more capable preprocessor. The syntax of parameter declaration was also augmented to include the C++ style. Int main of int argv, char ** argv